that's horizontal will typically pull on it a little bit too hard and it will help a little too much. Think of this as just sort of a guide to allow you to perform a more full range of motion. We can see in this setup that the dumbbell is in the opposite hand from the working leg. His left leg is his working leg, the dumbbell is in his right hand. We would refer to that as contralateral loading. Now in this position, he's going to keep a soft knee, but a vertical shin, and is going to hinge through the left leg, really thinking about driving his leg back as far as he can until he feels a strong stretch in the hamstring and then returns to a standing position. A lot of people want to rotate or open up, so you can think about keeping the toe pointed down and in to really help make sure that we're getting quality movement through the working leg. I also like to imagine that my body is a scale and I need to balance both sides of the scale, and I can really use the back leg as a counterweight to help my body move further as opposed to just really rounding or dropping through the spine. We're trying to maintain a neutral posture the entire time.
So the third exercise in the single leg hinge progression is a barbell single leg RDL. It's a really, really tough exercise, and if you're having any of those issues that I was talking about in terms of stability and proprioception on the first two, there is no shame in hanging out with those two exercises until we're really ready here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to distribute our weight to that target leg, and our torso and even our lower body is gonna go through the same exact range of motion as these last few exercises. We're just able to load this up significantly more, and we're not getting any help from any sort of structure bracing us. Be sure that as we go through the range of motion, we're staying neutral through the back, that we're not opening up through the hip, and that this looks exactly like those last two variations that we've been working to really hammer home those fundamental movement patterns.
The first exercise in the day 3 hip abduction movement pattern is the side lying hip abduction. Now the focus of any abduction exercise is to target the glute medius, which sits up and on the outside of the hips. And a major coaching cue to be able to make sure that we're targeting the glute medius is to keep the toes down towards the floor and to keep the hip internally rotated. This helps directly align the muscle against gravity so that it can more efficiently fire. It may be tempting to point your toe up, but that will defeat the purpose even though we get a larger range of motion. So really try to keep your hip closed and the toe pointing down. We can keep a nice straight body position, and from here we're going to raise the heel and really focus on pinching and feeling the glutes doing the work.
So exercise 2 for hip abduction is going to be the same thing that we were doing with the first exercise. We're just progressing to a little bit more range of motion. Notice how Bryce is set up here. He's got another box out front. It generally helps if that's a little bit lower for that bottom leg, keeping it nice and out of the way, so that with this top leg, if you look, you can get to a nice stretch here where these fibers are lengthened as much as they can, and then he brings the leg up, keeping that toe down to shorten those fibers there. So we're getting a bit more range of motion, and this is generally a bit more challenging than that first exercise variation that we did on the floor.
The last exercise in our day 3 hip abduction progression is the side lying hip raise. Side lying hip raises are one of the most challenging bodyweight glute abduction exercises we can perform, and is extremely specific to positions that we see on the mats in terms of retaining or recovering guard or even entering the threatened position. So you can see that we're stacked through the elbow and hip, and the knees are at about a 45-degree position relative to the hips. We're going to drive through knee and hip, keeping the lower leg on the ground and really rotating and driving through the bottom hip to reach end range, extension, and abduction. And you'll know that you've done the movement correctly if your chest is a little bit open to the ceiling at the top. At the very bottom, we're really sinking deep into the hip and even tucking and rotating a little bit so that we're slightly facing down.